Ethan Cole had always considered himself unlucky, but never cosmically unlucky. That changed the moment he pressed the glowing blue button. It wasn't supposed to be there. He was just a maintenance technician working late in a half-abandoned research facility on the outskirts of the city. The place had once been cutting edge, something about quantum communications, but funding had dried up and now it was mostly empty halls, flickering lights, and forgotten experiments. Ethan liked it that way. Quiet. Predictable. Until he found the device. It sat in a sealed chamber labeled, "Do not activate. Experimental teleportation array." Naturally, curiosity won. "Just a look," he muttered, stepping inside. The machine hummed softly, its circular platform lined with strange symbols. Not English, not any language he recognized. In the center stood a console, sleek and impossibly advanced compared to the rest of the lab. And then there was the button. Glowing. Pulsing. Almost inviting. Ethan hesitated for a full 3 seconds. Then he pressed it. The world shattered. Light bent inward. The air compressed. A deafening silence swallowed everything. And then release. Ethan staggered forward, collapsing onto smooth, glass-like flooring. "Okay," he groaned. "That's new." He looked up and froze. This wasn't the lab. The ceiling stretched impossibly high, glowing with soft violet light. The walls curved like living structures, pulsing faintly. Strange beings, tall, elegant, with luminescent skin, stood around him in stunned silence. Dozens of them, all staring at him. "Oh no," Ethan whispered. A ripple passed through the crowd. Then, suddenly, a loud chime echoed through the chamber. And, before he could react, a figure stepped forward. She was unlike the others. Where they shimmered in pale hues, she glowed with deep sapphire tones. Her eyes, bright, silver, intelligent, locked onto his. And then something unexpected happened. She knelt. The entire room gasped. Ethan blinked. What? A voice rang out, clear, authoritative, translated somehow directly into his mind. By sacred convergence, the bond is sealed. The what is what? Ethan said. Another voice followed, reverent and awestruck. The union is complete. The princess is chosen. Ethan looked around wildly. Chosen what? The blue-skinned woman rose gracefully, stepping closer. You arrived through the ritual gate, she said calmly. You stood within the circle. You initiated the convergence. Ethan pointed at himself. I pressed a button. She tilted her head. Yes. And that means? Her expression softened slightly. It means, she said, you are now my husband. Silence. Complete. Absolute. Ethan stared at her, then laughed, then stopped laughing when no one else joined. You're serious. Entirely. Wait, hold on. I don't even know your name. I am Lyra Vale, Crown Princess of the Aurelian Collective. Of course you are. And you, she said, studying him carefully, are the one fate delivered to me. Ethan swallowed hard. I think fate made a mistake. Middle. Marriage across the stars. The next few hours were a blur. Ethan was escorted, guarded, really through the alien structure, which turned out to be a massive orbital station. Everything felt alive. The walls pulsed, the floors adjusted to his steps, and the air itself seemed to hum with intelligence. And everywhere he went, people stared, whispered, bowed to him. This is insane, he muttered. You are adjusting well, Lyra said, walking beside him. Adjusting? I accidentally married an alien princess. Correct. That's not a normal sentence. Lyra paused, considering that. It is not typical here either. Great. So I've broken 2 civilizations. Eventually, They reached a private chamber overlooking a vast starfield. Planets shimmered in the distance, their colors unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. "This is my quarters," Lyra said. Ethan hesitated at the threshold. "So, just to clarify, this marriage thing, is it reversible?" Lyra's expression grew more serious. "No." Ethan closed his eyes. "Of course it's not. The ritual gate is sacred," she explained. "It binds two beings across space and destiny. To undo it would destabilize our societal structure." "Your societal structure? I just wanted to fix a broken cable." "And yet," she said softly, "you are here." Days passed, then weeks. Ethan learned quickly that the Aurelian Collective was an advanced interstellar civilization, but also deeply bound by tradition. And his marriage to Lyra wasn't just symbolic. It was political, critical, necessary. "There are factions within the collective," Lyra explained one evening. "Some believe our traditions are outdated. Others, more dangerous, seek power." "And me?" Ethan asked. "Where do I fit into all that?" Lyra looked at him carefully. "You are the unknown variable." At first, Ethan was treated like a curiosity, an anomaly, a mistake. But something changed. He started asking questions, fixing things, improving systems. One day, he noticed a flaw in their energy distribution network, something their advanced AI had overlooked due to its reliance on pattern perfection. Ethan didn't rely on perfection. He relied on improvisation. "Try rerouting through this node," he suggested. "It is inefficient," one technician argued. "It's human," Ethan replied. "Trust me." They did. And it worked. Better than expected. Word spread. The primitive human began solving problems their technology couldn't. Not because he was smarter, but because he thought differently. And slowly, the stares changed. From curiosity to respect. Meanwhile, his relationship with Lyra evolved. At first, they were strangers bound by accident. Then allies. And eventually, something more. "You are unusual," Lyra admitted one night as they stood beneath a simulated sky. "I've been called worse." "You are unpredictable, illogical, inefficient." "Wow, you really know how to flatter a guy." "And yet," she continued, her voice softer, "you bring balance to a system that has become too rigid." Ethan smiled faintly. "And you," he said, "are not what I expected either." "What did you expect?" "A cold, distant alien princess." And instead, he met her silver eyes. "I found someone trying to carry an entire civilization on her shoulders." Lyra looked away. "For the first time in a long time," she whispered, I do not feel alone." But peace never lasts. The attack came, without warning. A faction known as the Null Vanguard launched a coordinated assault on the station. Explosions ripped through the outer sectors. Alarms blared. The once serene halls turned into chaos. "They're targeting the core," a guard shouted. Lyra's expression hardened. "If they breach it, they can override the entire collective network." Ethan stepped forward. "Then we stop them." "You are not a soldier." "No," he said, "but I'm very good at fixing broken systems." They fought their way through collapsing corridors and flickering energy fields. Ethan wasn't trained. He wasn't strong. But he adapted, improvised, survived. And when they reached the core, they found the truth. The Vanguard had already begun the override. A massive alien interface pulsed with unstable energy. "It's too late," one technician said. "We can't stop it." Ethan stepped forward. "Yes, we can." Ending. The choice that wasn't an accident. The core was unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. It wasn't just a machine, it was a living network, connecting every ship, every station, every citizen in the Aurelian collective. And it was failing. If this completes, Lyra said, they will control everything. Ethan studied the interface. It's not just an override, he realized. It's a cascade. Once it starts, it can't stop itself. Then what do we do? Ethan hesitated, then smiled slightly. We do something very human. He began rerouting systems manually, bypassing automated protocols. It won't be efficient, a technician warned. It doesn't have to be, Ethan replied. It just has to work. Energy surged. Systems flickered. The core resisted. But Ethan pushed harder. And then, it's stabilizing, someone shouted. Hope flickered. But then came the cost. The feedback loop, Lyra started. Ethan saw it too. The system needed a constant input to maintain stability. A living input. A mind. It needs someone to stay connected, he said quietly. Lyra's eyes widened. No. It's the only way. You don't understand. Once linked, you may never disconnect. Ethan looked at her. I didn't understand a lot of things when I pressed that button. He stepped toward the interface. Lyra grabbed his arm. You are not expendable. He smiled gently. Neither are you. Then don't do this. Ethan hesitated. Just for a moment. Then he placed his hand on the core. Light engulfed him. Data flooded his mind. Stars. Worlds. Lives. He felt everything. Every signal. Every connection. Every heartbeat of an entire civilization. And somehow he held it together. The attack stopped. The Vanguard's control shattered. The system stabilized. They had won. But Ethan didn't let go. He couldn't. Days passed. Lyra stood before the core, watching him. Waiting. Hoping. You promised me, she whispered. You would not leave. Then one day, the light dimmed. Ethan collapsed. He woke to silence. Soft light. And Lyra's face. Did it work? He asked weakly. She smiled through tears. It did. Good. You disconnected. Ethan blinked. What? The system adapted, she said. It learned from you. He laughed softly. Even your technology is learning to be human. Time passed again. The war ended. The collective stabilized. And something unexpected happened. They changed. Rigid traditions softened. Innovation grew. Balance returned. And at the center of it all, a human and an alien princess. One evening, standing beneath real stars this time, Lyra turned to Ethan. Do you regret it? She asked. Pressing the button? Yes. Ethan thought about it. About the chaos, the fear, the responsibility, and the life he never expected. Then he smiled. No. Why? Because, he said, taking her hand, it wasn't an accident. Lyra tilted her head. What do you mean? Ethan looked out at the stars. Maybe the universe just needed two completely different worlds to collide. And this time, they chose each other. Not by ritual, not by accident, but by something far more powerful.